مرحبا وأهلا بكم في برنامج داخل واشنطن. معكم مضيفكم روبرت ساتلوف. توجد أسباب كثيرة لكون انتخاباتنا الرئاسية أغرب منافسة سياسية في التاريخ الأمريكي. أحدها المعركة بين الجنسين. هيلاري كلينتون ليست فقط أول سيدة تتقدم كمرشحة لحزب سياسي كبير، ولكن غريمها ليس مجرد رجل سياسة عادي، وإنما على النقيض من ذلك غريمها ما يمكن أن نسميه رجل أعمال. ذكر مهيمن ويتباهى بفعاليته على شاشات التلفزيون. النتيجة أن القضية الجنسية موضوع محوري في هذه الانتخابات، مثلما كانت القضية العنصرية موضوعا محوريا خلال آخر جولتين من الانتخابات الرئاسية. وقد وضعت هذه الحقيقة ضمن الأجندة القومية نطاقا واسعا من القضية، بداية مما إذا كانت المرأة مساوية حقا للرجل في أمريكا القرن ال21، وصولا إلى التساؤلات حول إجازة الوضع وحقوق المتحولين جنسيا ودور الحكومة في إعلاء قيمة الأسرة. لمناقشة القضية الجنسية والانتخابات الرئاسية يسرني أن أرحب بواحدة من ألمع نجوم الصحفيين الشباب في عاصمة بلدنا، وهي دانيال باكيت من The Washington Post. Welcome back to Dakhel, Washington. We're sitting here with Danielle Paquette to discuss sex, gender, and social issues in our presidential election. Welcome.
Happy to be here.
So, to what extent is the battle between Hillary Clinton and Donald Trump also a battle between the sexes?
Well, gender has never been more visible in an election than it is now. We heard during the presidential debates earlier this year Donald Trump referencing his manhood, which was quite shocking to some viewers. Hillary Clinton, on the other hand, she runs speaking about how women's rights are human rights are women's rights. She's also addressing the needs of America's women, which are breadwinners now. The number of American women who are breadwinners in the United States has quadrupled since the 1970s. So Clinton is trying to support them with working family policies. Trump very recently proposed his own policies. He also wants to allow American families to deduct their child care expenses from their taxes. And he is also the first Republican candidate ever to propose a paid family leave plan.
All right, so let's take a look at each of these candidates. First, Hillary Clinton. This is fairly new for her in her presidential race in 2008. She didn't emphasize the fact that she was a woman candidate. Why the switch?
So in 2008, we saw Clinton play down her gender. She didn't want to be seen as a woman. She wanted to be seen as a presidential candidate. And some people saw that as not genuine. So Clinton has switched, and she is telling people, she's telling aides, that she's showing more of her real self. She's a mother, she's a grandmother, she's also a high-powered politician, and that's the message she's trying to convey. One can be both.
Is there any evidence that this helps her? Can one quantify the extent of benefit she gets by being or underscoring the fact that she's the first woman candidate on a major political party?
Donald Trump earlier this year said Hillary was playing the woman card, and if she were a man, he would be winning in a landslide in the polls. Hillary kind of laughed at that. She said that, being a woman can be a little bit harder in the United States and everywhere else in terms of getting people to see you as a true leader, courageous, brave, the person who directs our military. But Clinton, she does have more support from women. She has a lack of support from men. That is really one of her biggest weaknesses. Trump, you see the opposite of that, but you see a little more of a lack of support among women. He has a very large support problem among female voters. So it's really hard to say if Hillary's gender will help her or hurt her. She's just not hiding from it anymore. She's acknowledging it.
Donald Trump, you mentioned earlier, it's quite an unusual emphasis on virility, masculinity. How much is his persona what this election is all about?
So Donald Trump, he's new to the political game compared to Clinton, of course. He's always been this guy who brags about his sex life on TV and radio shows. He didn't try to do away with that persona when he started running for public office. I think I've talked to his campaign manager, Kellyanne Conway. She has been long advising Republicans on how to better appeal to women. Historically in the United States, Democrats have won more of the female vote, at least since the 80s. So Trump is trying, according to his campaign, to show more compassion, but we still see that masculinity come out when he is, like we discussed earlier, talking about his prowess in certain regions, I suppose. And Clinton tries to play off that, too, by suggesting her temperament is better, or she doesn't have to brag about her body parts.
Do we know what percentage of voters still today won't vote for any woman because that person is a woman?
You know, Pew, one of the more credible think tanks in the United States, they say that especially among younger voters, Clinton's gender is not an issue, or at least it's not something that would stop them from casting a vote for her. But the number has changed over the years. Decades ago, at least half of Americans would have had trouble understanding why a woman would even run in the first place, because a woman traditionally here has been the person caring for the family at home, while the man has been the breadwinner. We've seen that gradual shift over time. We've also seen growing confidence that a woman can and should lead in public office. Whether or not people will go out and vote for her, it remains to be seen.
Now, let's talk about, for a moment, the spouses who inject their own gender, sexual impact to this election. On the one hand, first, Bill Clinton, a character unlike any in American politics, with everything that goes into being who Bill Clinton is. A net plus, a net minus? How does this affect his wife's chances?
We heard criticism early on that Bill Clinton would be a liability to Hillary Clinton's campaign. The opposite has shown to be true in recent research. Actually, when Bill Clinton is out there stumping for Hillary, white men are more likely to see her as a favorable candidate. I'm not sure why that is, but some researchers are saying that first spouses throughout the years are seen as less partisan. And when they go out there, this is everyone from Bush's wife, Hillary Clinton had a bit of this impact in the 90s. When they go out there and speak on behalf of their spouse, that spouse suddenly seems a little more human, a little more real, like someone you could actually vote for. When Bill Clinton goes out there, he's talking about, a woman he loves, someone who's powerful, someone who has stood by him, and that might seem more appealing to male voters especially. As far as women go, you might think, of course, Bill Clinton very famously cheated on Hillary while he was in office. It was a huge scandal. They seem to have largely forgotten that. That's not discussed very often, and it doesn't seem like something that they are labeling as her fault. Also, American voters in general have a short attention span, so we're looking more at Hillary than we are her relationship with Bill this election cycle.
And do you expect Donald Trump or his surrogates to dredge up that history in the final weeks before the election?
Oh, of course, they already are. They're talking about Bill. They're talking about allegations from the past. That's something that we've expected to see. And Donald Trump has also talked about Melania and
Melania,
how,
his wife.
His wife, Melania. We've seen some of the opposition, or the people who oppose Donald Trump, say, hey, your wife has once posed nude in a magazine. How could she possibly be fit for First Lady? But we also see people on both sides saying that doesn't matter. Posing, underdressed is not something that makes you a bad person, and that's just a big cultural change.
And have we seen, do the polls suggest that Melania is an asset or indifferent to Donald Trump's electoral chances.
So this has been a weird election year, and
in many respects, yes.
And so, oddly, Ivanka, his eldest daughter, has been playing more of the primary campaign surrogate in this campaign. When Melania went out there and delivered a massive speech at the Republican National Convention, that proved to be a bit of a liability because Melania's speech had used identical phrases from Michelle Obama's speech years ago. So she had been accused of plagiarism, and ever since then, she sort of vanished from the campaign trail. We have not heard her speak. We haven't heard much about her at all. As far as she might have been a liability because the polls did take a dip after that convention, but it's really hard to say.
So you mentioned briefly Ivanka, that's Donald Trump's daughter. There's a first daughter among the Democrats who also has a role to play. Is that a net plus? And first of all, who are we talking about? And is that a net plus for Hillary Clinton?
So we're talking about Chelsea Clinton. She's Hillary and Bill's daughter. She's been in the public eye forever, of course. She's been out there campaigning for her daughter too, or for her mother also. And their story is quite interesting because Ivanka, Trump's daughter, and Chelsea have been friends, and they've acknowledged that publicly. They've sort of put their friendship on hold, but they don't seem to have animosity between each other. There's a lot more focus on Ivanka now than there is on Chelsea because we've heard Chelsea's messages about her mother before. Chelsea has long been saying Hillary's a great mom, and now Hillary's a great grandmother, Hillary's a great person, a great leader. Ivanka sort of burst onto the scene, and she really helps Donald Trump seem more connected to women. In fact, Ivanka is leading the charge for Trump to address issues that disproportionately affect women. She is credited with coming up with his child care plan.
Okay, when we come back with Danielle Paquette, we're going to move from personalities to policies on sex, gender, and women in our presidential election in just a moment. And our guest today is Danielle Paquette. Danielle is a rising star at the Washington Post, where her writing covers the intersection of people and policy. She worked previously for the Tampa Bay Times in the Sunshine State of Florida. So, Danielle, let's move from personalities to policies. Now, usually, historically, one of the key issues, dividing lines in American politics, is abortion. We haven't heard much about this issue in this campaign. What is the story of the abortion question between Hillary Clinton and Donald Trump?
Hillary Clinton would like to protect access to abortion as a medical procedure, and that is no surprise. We might not have heard as much about it because none of the candidates are really taking surprising stances this year. Hillary would like to defend access. Donald Trump believes abortion is inherently immoral, wrong, and should be, his running mate, Mike Pence, would like to see it become illegal. So they have starkly different stances here, and they're really battling over this just like candidates have for years and years. It's one of the biggest, most fiery debates in the United States.
You mentioned earlier that Donald Trump has tried to soften his approach to women through a child care proposal. Hillary Clinton has had child care proposals for some years now. What is special about what Donald Trump is saying, and is it going to succeed to win at least a portion of the women's vote?
We'll see about that. It's special because no Republican candidate has ever put forth a detailed child care plan or a paid family leave plan, something that would open paid days off for new mothers who also work. Donald Trump wants to allow American families to deduct the average cost of child care from their taxes. He also wants to open a savings account, which would be brand new, to store tax-free money there. The biggest part, or one of the most surprising parts of his proposal, is the maternity leave plan, which would allow women in the United States to take 6 weeks at partial wages off after the birth of a child. Today, there's not a single day of paid leave available for women. You usually just have to save up to get by.
This is, of course, paid leave under federal law. Different businesses can do whatever they want. And so I want to ask you, is there any evidence from how Donald Trump ran his business that this sort of maternity leave or woman-friendly approach was part of the way he ran his companies?
So Donald Trump has long said that he's hired and promoted women before that was a normal thing in the United States. But he had not necessarily offered paid maternity leave to all the women who work for him. We just learned here that many of his employees do not receive any paid maternity leave, even though he has said on the campaign trail that they do. He also has said that he provided child care on site at his businesses, but we later learned that wasn't true. He actually just provided child care to his patrons, to the people who were giving him money.
What do you do when you have a claim that is, through your own reporting or those of your colleagues, demonstrably false?
We never want to jump all over a candidate. We want to hold candidates, both Hillary and Donald, accountable for what they say. So when we come across a false claim, we check it out. We talk to the people who've worked for Trump, for example. And if they contradict what he said publicly, you know, we try our best to get comment from the campaign. Sometimes we don't.
There is a subset of women's voters out there who would never vote for Hillary Clinton under any circumstances.
It's true. It's true.
And what motivates that group? First of all, how large is it, approximately? And what motivates that group?
I'm not sure how large it is, the never vote Hillary camp, but there are plenty of women who do not support her, close to 40% in many national polls. Hillary's not overwhelmingly popular with women, as you might expect. The women who say that say they don't believe she will necessarily have a great handle on the economy, or they say they find her dishonest. But there's also more women who do say that she's honest. It's really hard to say what issue in particular might be driving women away from Hillary Clinton. But the ones who choose to support Donald Trump say that he would be better at creating jobs, or he's tougher on national security.
And is there any correlation between either age or race and, say, where women are on the spectrum of supporting or not supporting Hillary Clinton?
Well, there are huge differences in demographics that support the candidates. Oddly, among younger women, they're more likely to vote independent, or younger women are more willing to vote independent. Older women, if they're white and married, they are more likely to vote for Donald Trump. Single women say they're more likely to vote for Hillary Clinton. Black women are more likely to vote for Hillary Clinton, Hispanic women included. Donald Trump has had trouble with racial minorities this year, among both genders.
Among both genders. When you look at this whole set of issues, gender, sex, virility, are there any wild cards that could be out there between now and Election Day, which might burst forth onto the front pages?
You know, I don't think at this point anyone would be surprised if Donald Trump talked about his virility, or if Hillary Clinton talked about how she empowers women. These are messages that have stayed consistent from the beginning. I, like you perhaps, I'm looking forward to see what comes out.
On the Donald Trump side of the equation, he's very different than any other Republican politician in America.
Right.
Very different than his own running mate.
Right.
When you look at that political spectrum, just among Republicans, do you see that his unique persona is indeed unique to him, or is this going to be the way we might be choosing our candidates for some time to come?
Well, in the past, candidates who ran for president in such a serious way were much more careful about the things they said. They didn't speak off the cuff, and they surely didn't make public insults as much or at all as Donald Trump. And so you mentioned his running candidate, Mike Pence, the Indiana governor. This is where social issues come at play again. Mike Pence is such a stark contrast in the Republican Party. He is deeply religious. He is calm and reserved, and that is why many believe Donald Trump chose him as someone who would balance him out. We'll have to see what happens next time around, because it is possible that candidates will come out a little more aggressive and a little less concerned about their words, because that really appealed to a large group of voters when Donald Trump became the nominee.
How does Donald Trump avoid seeming overbearing when he's one-on-one with a woman candidate, which he never had to be throughout this long election? And how does Hillary Clinton deal with this oversized personality on the other side of the platform?
So Hillary Clinton is known for being very prepared, having huge attention to detail. That is her story. That is the persona she puts out there. She is the type of candidate that would study and study the policy details before each debate. Donald Trump, as you know, doesn't like to read from a teleprompter. He says what's on his mind. That's what his campaign says again and again. With Donald Trump, you saw in the previous debates, he would resort to humor or laughing or rolling his eyes. He would try to keep his attacks a little more light. I'm not sure if he'd bring that with Hillary. We've also seen when Donald Trump attacks women publicly, there's a massive negative response. He had actually insulted a debate moderator last year when the campaign was just getting started.
A female moderator.
A female moderator. It was Fox News' Megyn Kelly. Hillary Clinton, how she would deal with Donald Trump. I think Hillary Clinton presents the same Hillary Clinton, or she has throughout the campaign, and that's someone who sticks to policy and sometimes gets a jab in there.
Okay, Danielle Paquette, thank you very much for helping to explain gender sex in our presidential election, a topic I thought we'd never have to discuss.
Right,
but
thank
this
you.
year, we certainly do. Thank you very much for joining us on Dakhel, Washington. بهذا نصل إلى نهاية هذه الحلقة من برنامج داخل واشنطن. إذا كانت لديكم أي استفسارات أو تعليقات حول هذه الحلقة وخاصة حول المساواة بين الجنسين في بلدكم، أرجو أن تراسلوني مباشرة على عنوان البريد الإلكتروني التالي insidewashington@elhura.com. معكم روبرت ساتلوف. شكرا لكم وإلى اللقاء.